Super Mario Brothers. So what happens when you take a character like Mario, who's like a Italian caricature? What is Mario, first of all? I mean, he wears a red hat with an M on it. He wears blue overalls. He also jumps around a lot and has the ability to jump really high in the air compared to your average person. But he's also, like, who the hell knows how tall Mario actually is? I mean, like, I guess if you, like, measure the people in New Donk City, and just, like, against Mario, I guess you would kind of have an estimate. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, so we're good. Don't worry about it. Just use your imagination. So yeah, Super Mario. It's all about this guy trying to rescue a princess from this monster named Bowser. That's putting it very simply, of course, and that's what pretty much everybody knows, I think. So we've covered the bases, but they also have all these different power-ups. You got fire flowers. You got a cape that lets Mario ascend into the air if he gets enough running potential. You have a cat suit that lets you cling onto walls for a bit and climb up them for a bit. You have tanuki leaves, these leaves that you run into, and then suddenly you have a raccoon or a tanuki tail and tanuki ears. And these also allow you to fly, but more of a, like, ascension then glide kind of fly, as opposed to a constant upward momentum flight, if that makes sense. And Mario 64 is in a castle, and Bowser's just kind of like waiting for Mario to come get him, basically. I mean, let's be honest, like, if Bowser was super powerful or whatever, don't you think it would just be more, like, you know, practical for him to kill Mario? Why wouldn't he just, like, use all of the power stars for himself against Mario, so that Mario can't use the power stars against him? I mean, he had, like, the advantage of already kidnapping Peach by the time you get to the castle. I mean, you just show up and this already happened, and he's just, like, hiding behind walls, like, sitting over here like, come get me. I'm hiding from you, Mario. You have to get enough power stars to come get me, Mario. So Mario's like, okay, and then he just does it, and that's it. And he goes and he beats Bowser, because Bowser completely... By the way, in 64, Bowser just completely tells Mario how to defeat him. I mean, like, Bowser is essentially deliberately setting himself up for failure, and you know, he just doesn't realize what he's doing isn't working until it's too late. You know, I mean, he just doesn't. It's fine. It's okay. He's allowed to not, like, know, but it's just not happening. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. That's rather what the fuck am I on about at this point? Describing Super Mario, right. In Mario Odyssey, Mario collects moons, and moons and power stars seem to have the ability to create movement. They're almost like electricity, except 120 moons can make you go, like, a lot farther than 120 power stars. I mean, like, 120 moons are, like, you can fly to a few different kingdoms at that point, but, like, that's, like, across the, like, a planet. But with power stars, they just kind of open doors in one location. So it's kind of like, but then power stars are also power moons. So it's like, Nintendo, what is up with your power star power scaling? Why you gotta power scale your power stars so shittily? I mean, moons are, like, way more powerful. I mean, I guess the power stars are still moons, technically, right? They just look like power stars from Super Mario 64 and Odyssey? Is that it? They just look like them? They're not actually the same exact thing? Is that how they're gonna explain it? That's probably how they're gonna explain it in the official Super Mario Odyssey lore book. that will be 120 pages explaining the excessive timeline of the Mario franchise. So let's jump into the excessive timeline of the Mario franchise. So you start off with the original Super Mario Brothers on the arcade system, and then you have to look at the next one, which is Super Mario Brothers for the NES, and then you have to look at the second one from the USA, the Doki Doki Panic game, but also Super Mario Brothers 2. And then that one happened, but that's just a dream, so it doesn't really matter in the canon. And that happened between probably 1 and 2. And then 3 happened, but 3 is when they realized that they can make profit out of Mario's adventures. Like the entirety of the Mario universe decided in that game that everything is going to become a show. It's all going to be an act, and it's all just this big hullabaloo show. And then but then sometimes the games aren't a show, and that's the Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Odyssey. All those 3 games are not a show. Super Mario Galaxy could be a show. It's most likely the end of the Mario timeline. The Mario timeline is fucking complicated, okay? So what order do they go in? Well, okay, that's an even better question. So, here's what I think. I think that Super Mario Sunshine happens after Super Mario Odyssey because Bowser has Bowser Jr. So you might be wondering, well, where does Super Mario 3D World fit in on all this? Well, see, that one is where the split in the timeline comes in, where it's two different dimensions that is also being a part of the same timeline. So essentially, you have the 2D Mario universe, which is all the act being put on like as a show. And I think Super Mario 3D Land and World fit into this dynamic properly. I think they're also supposed to be acts for the show. Because, like, who are the Sprixies? Are we ever going to see the Sprixies again? I don't think so. But now you're probably wondering, what about Super Mario Land 2 on the Game Boy Color? Well, that one is also a show, but this time it's with Wario, and that's pretty much it. It's just another show, but it's got some they got some good set pieces, some wonkiness to it. That's sort of the Mario way. But Odyssey isn't a show, neither is Mario 64, and Sunshine also isn't a show, but I do think Sunshine comes in at the end of the timeline. And I consider those the only real events in the Mario storyline for some strange reason. If you're wondering my reasoning for this, I kind of am too, so just bear with me. But I do think so, mostly because of Bowser Jr., but like, maybe not. I mean, the end of the timeline would have to have encapsulated Odyssey in that Super Mario Sunshine beginning bit where Flood is analyzing Mario's past, because it shows a little Mario 64 and all that, and all the other stuff. And so I think Mario is also an actor because of this. Because they're able to have parties, they're able to go karting. See, that's the problem is, if you're trying to incorporate every Mario game into the timeline, then you have to get really deep into the lore. And I just don't know if Mario as a franchise is even worth going that deep. I mean, I don't think that it was ever created for the intent to be connected through a timeline. Because you know how Bowser was all pissed off at Mario during the events of Mario Tennis 2? But there's also Mario Party, and you know how Bowser was one of the big mechanics of that Wii U Mario Party. Well, see, the thing is, Bowser kind of got into a scuffle with Mario between Mario Party. I believe the one with Bowser is 15, but I could be completely wrong. I think I've lost count of how many Mario parties there are, which should go to show you that I really am not that well read on the Mario timeline, considering I don't know where the party games come in entirely. But I know that the events of Mario 64 must have happened between those two Mario Party games. The one before Bowser was the giant Bowser like mini game specific thing. that he was on the Wii U one and the one before it. See, it's all interconnected, and Nintendo are just fucking storyline geniuses, and you just have to analyze it really deeply, and then everything starts to make sense. Like, okay, well, why does Bowser go karting with Mario? Well, you know, Bowser going karting with Mario is like sort of just another one of the Mario Party situations. Mario Party is a bit different because I don't think Bowser's usually a playable character in Mario Party, but I think that just because he doesn't get invited necessarily to the party outright, he still shows up and they still want him around. It shows that, like, they still value Bowser, but, like, they don't really like inviting him to their parties. So they're like, you know what, Bowser, you should be able to come race at least. So you can come race with us, and you know, we could fight each other through racing, and so Mario can win more. And the races at least are a bit more dynamic now. They invited a bunch of Mario is actually willing to cross through the universal gap using Rosalina's powers. If you consider the Super Mario Galaxy canon into the main timeline, if it actually wasn't just a show, and Rosalina truly has that kind of power where she can, like, you know, tear holes in reality and, like, you know, go to another reality, basically. I mean, I don't know. So this has sort of been describing the Super Mario, but it's also been sort of talking about, just sort of discussing its internal canon that completely just probably doesn't exist at all, and but it's sort of fun just to, like, imagine, like, oh, how would the shit connect? Well, how would we connect Mario Galaxy to Mario Odyssey, especially because the whole universe goes, like, kaplooey in Mario Galaxy, and then, like, it comes back. And I mean, like, Mario goes to the moon in Mario Odyssey, but maybe we'll see Mario Odyssey Galaxy next, where it's like, it's open world spaces, but it's with a galaxy, with the aesthetic of being in space like Galaxy. What if that's the next part of the Mario timeline? Because Odyssey was its own new part of the timeline, while also being in the same timeline as Mario 64. But, you know, these are really important questions, and we should really be pondering the depth of the lore of Super Mario and the timeline to be taken into consideration. Because that was describing Super Mario, Super Mayo, Super Marmero, Super Mamelo, Super Gilgro, Super Mario, Super Mario, Super Mario, Super Mario. What the fuck is Mario, by the way? I just call him a Super Mario because he's not a human. Mario is not human. So if you look at him and you're like, yes, that is a human, you are wrong. Mario is not a human anymore. They have confirmed that Mario is not human. He is in fact a Super Mario. And Luigi is a Super Mario brother, which makes him another Super Mario species, though he is I guess you could call him a Super Luigi, because he's pretty much as talented as his brother. It's just a little different, that's all. I mean, he jumps really high, he slides around a lot. He's Luigi, the other guy. And, you know, who is Luigi? Who is Mario's brother? Who is this guy? Where does he come from? You know, where does Luigi come from? And what does Luigi have to say about? And what does Luigi have to say about being Mario's brother? You know, is it hard to be known as a Super Mario brother as opposed to a Super Luigi? Does that bother Luigi, or does Luigi not really mind and kind of just enjoys his position next to his brother? Does this really matter at all for the Mario canon? Find out next time on MarioCanon.net when the website launches in about 6 days. That's right, 6 days. You want to know about the Mario canon? Well, let me tell you, MarioCanon.net changed my life. Before, I thought that Princess Peach was captured 3 times prior to Super Mario 64, but it turns out Princess Peach was captured about 18 times since before Super Mario 64 in the canon, in the timeline. Holy shit. But actually, when you find out and you take into consideration that Super Mario 64 is a part of its own separate timeline canon because it's the actual events of Mario's adventures in real life, as opposed to when he's on the set with the other characters. When they're off the set, they still do this. That's sort of what happens, and but like, Bowser still kind of plays along, and Mario just kind of like they've kind of gotten into this rhythm where like even when the cameras aren't on, they're gonna do it anyway. But like it's just kind of this when they do it in like 64, Bowser just ends up like running away from Mario the whole time until a few instances where he fights him once and then he fights him another time. But other than that, Mario's just like trying to find all this shit in order to move close enough to get to him, in order to get to him just physically. Bowser's plan is actually pretty smart, and you would think that if time applied evenly to Mario and Bowser, that Bowser would have succeeded with his plan to marry Peach way before Mario collected all those power moons, man. Like some of those could have taken a while, and the game would be none the wiser. It would just assume it's only been like 10 minutes since the last world transition, and like what is Bowser even doing with Peach in Princess Peach's castle? Is he like what it's so ethereal in 64. Like where the fuck is Peach? Like she's just like trapped inside of that, and like Bowser's just like sitting in his little dark world, and like at the end of the castle just like, well, Mario's gonna come get me now, and it's like, what the fuck? Why are you just chilling in there? Like what? I mean, why'd you do that to Peach? Why aren't you like talking to Peach? Isn't that why you captured her? So you want her to like be your girlfriend, basically? I guess that's it for describing Mario. I think I've given my own fair description. So yeah. See you next time for another edition of describing a thing.